Hello, and welcome to Anime Audio Commentary. Today I'll be commenting on episode 3 of Roshidere, or Alia Sometimes Hides Her Feelings in Russian. If you'd like to watch along, then start watching now. Alright, so I'm not sure what to expect in this episode considering all the sister shenanigans, and I looked it up. It turns out Suo, I guess she just lied about being a childhood friend. She really is the guy's sister, and that, I don't know what to make of that. That's definitely something. But I guess, more importantly than all that, I guess Alia, she's still kind of grappling with what had happened, because when you get down to it, there was that whole embarrassment with eating all the spicy food, and then the embarrassment of changing her clothes and all that. Oh. Okay. So Alia seems to be under the impression that Suo is merely a childhood friend and not a sister. Although frankly, based off of her behavior, I don't see how she could figure it out anyways. So I guess the question here is, what now? Because, Alia's sister can see through her clearly, but, what's she gonna do about it, something tells me she's not going to be straightforward about things. I get the feeling there's going to be something of a convoluted plot here that very well may backfire. Ooh, okay. We're learning a little bit more, I guess. I guess this is explaining a bit more of, what happened, because, if she was in a Russian school in Russia 6 years ago, then that means, she and Kuze would have been childhood friends only briefly, so I guess, maybe it's not implausible that they don't remember one another. I forget what precisely was implied, who was implied not to have remembered the other, because I think it was pretty clear Kuze remembered her. I think it's Alia that doesn't quite remember who Kuze is. And you know what? I'm not sure I like that, just because I feel like, not remembering your childhood friend, that's kind of a cop-out, in my opinion, but I don't know. I mean, I guess if nothing else, it allows for a little bit of juicy drama. Oh dear. So I guess this is somewhat foundational for Alia in that, she's not content to just, slack off and not do work. Which is laudable in and of itself, and, I can definitely relate to her position where, essentially, people who slack off are effectively the anchor around your neck, I mean, on the one hand, she is sort of fundamentally correct. You know, you should, like, put in effort and take your studies seriously, but at the same time, like, you do have to relax a little bit. It's not the end-all, be-all, you know? I mean, even if you have to relax only for your own sanity, you know? Ooh. Yeah, that's rough when your group loses mainly because of the other people. I mean, I guess it's sort of a good lesson to learn in that you can do everything correct and still not succeed. But, you know, that's probably not the lesson she's taking away from this. Probably more so that self-reliance is the only way, you know? Other people can't be relied on. And that's something. You know, there is merit to that idea that you should be self-reliant, you should be able to take care of yourself. However, you know, you should also know when to rely on other people. But I guess Alia hasn't quite gotten to the point where she's learned that lesson yet. So I'm wondering, is this going to be the first interaction between Kuze and Alia? I mean, it seems like it, you know. For him to just sort of like sleep through class like this, or not class rather, but you know, the brief interval before class, like, I'm surprised she's taking so well to him initially, you know. I would have assumed she would have deplored his behavior. So I guess interestingly enough, they seem to be in a bunch of classes together, which, you know, if there's something to be said for school, it's that you are around the same people, and you know, you can make firm friends that way. But I guess in Alia's case, she's seeing this guy a lot and that he's slacking everywhere he goes, even at what is ostensibly a prestigious school. And I guess, given her background, that's certainly something that should rankle, but I guess, for one reason or another, Kuze isn't provoking that response, shall we say. So I guess the question is why? You know, seeing so there's a cultural festival coming up and there was mention of a haunted house, I'd imagine some act of bravery on his part sort of solidified things to the point where, you know, despite the laziness, he is reliable to some degree. Or perhaps better yet, he proves reliable in helping Alia, because if the haunted house is going on, and she's the only one working on it, you know, I'd imagine he would pitch in and help. But I mean, like, she's sort of in a bad position. Like, I know a bit about sewing, you know, mending clothes and things like that, but like, I feel like once you get to the point to where you're puncturing your fingers and like bleeding freely, like, pack it in at that point. Like, you're not gonna get much done. So he's taking a sort of rational approach here. It's like, you know, like, go home and rest up. You know, you're not going to do any real good work at this point. You know, he's not encouraging her to be lazy. He's encouraging her to just, you know, cool it. Ooh. Okay, so this is an interesting display of cunning that Kuze would essentially get permission to stay overnight to sort of light a fire under everyone. You know, essentially, if you frame things correctly, you can get the lazy people to work. Essentially, like, hey, all you boys, you want to impress the girls, right? That's surprisingly shrewd of him. And Alia might be too invested in it, but at the root of this, her goals are laudable. She's taking pride in her work, essentially. There's nothing wrong with that, except when you take it to the point where you're getting really worked up over something that's, not that big in the grand scheme of things. This is just a haunted house at a school festival. Alright. Kuze's dropping some knowledge here, No man is an island. You can't do all this by yourself, and frankly, you shouldn't do all this by yourself. Wow. And you know what? He's even tactful to realize that maybe he should rephrase things in a more, helpful way. I mean, that's it then. That sealed the deal, right? So she is leaving, but I guess it is sort of unclear whether it's under good circumstances. I mean, looking back, I suppose this is the thing that sort of sealed the deal with her and him, but, I guess at the time she's kind of torn up about it. I guess it would make sense, him sort of coming out of nowhere and handing down all these directives. It's interesting that everyone's already, immediately going for more work when it's framed slightly differently. I mean, I guess this is also sort of emblematic of the difference between, a boss and a leader, I guess. Leading from the front as opposed to leading from the rear, I guess. And you know what? It certainly seems to be doing the job here. For them to, win an award. That's gotta be meaningful for Alia, even if we're not, lingering on the shot of that. I imagine it'll have to come up later, So I guess, interestingly, all the celebrations are going on after the school festival, but neither Alia nor Kuze are really taking part in it. So I guess in that regard, they're sort of kindred spirits, too. Alright, so that's an admission right there. She can figure out the dance, she chooses not to. So I guess the question here is she working up the courage to ask him or what, I feel like she wouldn't be quite so forward at this stage. Or I guess, at all, really, unless somebody really lights a fire under her. Okay. That's interesting. She doesn't like being referred to as an ice princess, not because she's aloof, but because there's, a sort of a nobility attached to it that implies a lack of hard work or diligence. And, we know that's not the case, right? She was sewing to the point where her fingers were bleeding. That's not just something everyone will do. I'm wondering if maybe she's being a little too obtuse here, because I feel like when you call someone an ice princess, it's more in reference to, that fairy tale than that they're actually nobility, But I guess her point does still sort of stand. And I also find it interesting that Kuze's like, I didn't really do that much work, I just pulled a few strings. And I guess maybe when you get down to it, the role of a good leader is effectively facilitating other people so they can do their jobs. Basically with as few distractions as possible. So, maybe it's not like work in the sense of like picking up stuff and moving it around, but it certainly does take effort. Ooh. So that's interesting that Kuze would essentially just want to be on a first name basis with her. Essentially just to, rub it in the face of literally everyone else. I mean, that's something. I don't blame him for that, but that's kind of like a weird thing to do. So I'm wondering, is he just gonna flex it right in front of these guys? Like, hey, Alia, let's blow this popsicle stand? Oh. Oh boy, I was wrong. This is what seals the deal. Wow. Alright, this is an alpha maneuver. Just like, call her by a name no one else calls her, take her to dance, right in front of everyone else. Man, it's over. Wow. Like, where's this guy the rest of the time? Because, like, this is an almost uncharacteristic amount of confidence. Like, I guess it's not like he's not like this all the time, but, man. Man, it's interesting that she's reminiscing about this and just sort of, like, shooting him daggers. Man. So I guess the question is, what do they do about that now? Because, like, Alia spilled the beans to her sister. But, she's also pretty clear that they're only friends at this point. Like, someone's gonna have to do something to fix it, I guess from Alia's perspective, Kuze does have his good qualities. He can be depended on. He can get things done when the chips are down, essentially. So, I'm wondering if the best approach is to essentially manufacture a scenario where he can, perform again. Oh, okay. I think I know what's going on here. Alia's sister is going to get involved. Because sure, Kuze's just here by happenstance. But I get the feeling she's gonna start, maybe not interfering. I don't think that's the right word. That's got a negative connotation. But sort of, massaging events, nudging things into place. Oh no, surely. Oh, never mind. I was going to say, surely she can't be, like, falling for him, but, no, instead she seems to remember him. So I guess that gives credence to the idea that Alia just doesn't quite remember him. And perhaps neither does he remember her, but, if the sister understands, then perhaps she can, fix things a little bit more adeptly. Oh, she's testing him, like, oh, do you still speak Russian? Of course he does, but, he's not revealing that. Oh dear, so is she just gonna, like, suss him out? Like, Because that was clearly a test, but, like, is the idea here, like, you know, do you speak Russian? And, if not, do you wanna? Ooh. Okay, so, plushies to resemble the student council members. I'm not sure why she should think to do that, but, yeah, I'm wondering, like, what's the goal here? To sort of, like, pair Kuze and Alia off with complementary animals? Oh, that's interesting. That Alia is the treasurer. I guess it would make sense for someone so meticulous to handle a job like that. But at the same time, Alia's sister, she's definitely playing a long game of sorts here. Okay, so that's rather deliberate that she named the stuffed animal Alia. You know, take care of Alia for me. Huh. Yeah, you know, I don't know what her endgame is here, trying to, like, take a picture of him and all that. I guess it's, obfuscatory, airheaded behavior, you know, sort of hide your true intentions and all that. Okay, that's interesting that he's claiming not to be much of an expert in tea, but, you know, apparently he is, and for one reason or another, it holds bad memories. Oh, okay. There's a little explanation there, I suppose, of why Suo is so, I guess, fixated on him. They must have been separated, hence why, you know, she is the way she is. Yeah, I don't know what the sister's endgame is here. Huh. I mean, it does seem like she's just genuinely kind of absent-minded. Huh. Alright, well that's it for this episode. If you've enjoyed it, then by all means, tune in for the next one. See you, space cowboy.